Hi, you're watching Avenue X, and today I want to talk about a recently aired and also pretty much aired 75% of its whole content Chinese period drama 山河者 Fight for Love. 40 episodes based on an existing novel. Written by Mo Shubai, who has written many novels that have already been made into Chinese dramas, such as 长风渡, such as 度华年. One of the things that's interesting about this drama is it's directed by Zhou Jintao and Qi Xiaohui. Zhou Jintao being the director who has directed the 2018 Guardian BL drama that exploded. He also directed A Journey to Love, which is still one of my favorite period drama till today. Also, he's the director of the hasn't aired and we don't know if it would ever air BL adaptation 烽火流金, also 杀破狼, that's led by Chen Zheyuan and Tan Jianci. Then, as for the casting, this is led by Song Qian and Ding Yuxi as the two leads. As for the rest of the cast, a lot of very familiar people, such as Chen Qiaoen, veteran actress of idol dramaland. These days, she mostly plays the elder generation of the main characters. Then you have Fu Xinbo, like he's in BL dramas before, so weirdly enough in this drama, I'll talk about that later. There's like just a glimpse of actually quite interesting male characters relationship. There's Cao Jun, the veteran actor, because he started his career as a baby. He's like 4, 5, 6 years old and started acting in dramaland, and he's the specialized in kung fu, trained properly, actor, and one of the rare type of actors we have today. You also have Huang Riying, young actress I really like. She's been in many things, never really played very major roles in very big productions, but adorable. I always liked her. Zhou Jieqiong, idol turned actress, and many other people supporting roles, like the people from A Dream Within a Dream and A Journey to Love, like these two guys. Even An Yuexi, who hasn't been in many things in recent years, is quite important in this story. On the casting side, I'm actually pretty happy. Like, there are a lot of people to look at for me. As for the story, it has quite a bit changed from the original story. Like 度华年, reincarnation of both leads. In this case, I think the female lead in the original novel is a reincarnated character, and she made different choices based on what she remembered of the first life. But that got taken out in the drama adaptation, and that kind of created a problem of they have to justify her actions, why she would do things that are kind of unconventional or unusual in our drama version, and whether it's convincing enough depends on how you read it. Some people would think it's a stretch, some people will let it slide. When you watch the drama, at the beginning of it, you'll know why. As for the story itself, this is a 疏扫恋. Basically, it is the female lead and the male lead having awkward social positions for them to develop romantic relationship, as the girl is technically the boy's sister-in-law. In our drama version, she married the brother of our male lead after the guy already died. And she did it under the pretense of they had private arrangement already, but then the guy went on the battlefield and died, and she wanna honor that arrangement, so sort of insisted marrying into the guy's family when actually he's already in the coffin. And so she literally immediately becomes a widow when she got married. And this is for the reason that she wants to investigate something that is related to the male lead's family. She thinks that's the only way she can get access to the information. So the male lead character is the 7th and youngest brother of that family, and they are all military families, and the dad died, the 6th older brother died, and only he survived, so he becomes the only heir of the male lead's family. And guess what's gonna happen? Obviously, it's Chinese idol period drama. They're gonna eventually fall in love. And all the troubles that's gonna come with it, plus investigating that thing that she's investigating, and it's tied into their country has enemy countries, most infiltrating their military, leaking their information. There's gonna be battles in the future, and how the female lead and male lead is gonna come together and save the kingdom kind of story. I've watched, as I'm sitting down today, 28 episodes of the whole thing. So it's pretty much 75%, just slightly shy of it. I could give it a 1 gold mine. I think it started close to 2 gold mine, but only at the very beginning. If you're thinking about the story's engagement and how interesting it feels, it kind of starts like this and it just keeps steadily declining. As of 28, the only reason I'm still watching is because I've already watched like 20 something episodes. I was like, might as well just check in every day, maybe not every second of the drama, just to know where it has gone to and what has happened and how it's all gonna end, because it probably is gonna be slightly different from how it ends in the novel. In comparison with recent other dramas, it's already like the better one. But overall, is it really a great period drama that I would highly recommend to people? Not necessarily. But still, let's divide and conquer, good and bad. First, on the good end of things. This is a really normal drama, by which I mean whether you like the writing or the characters, whether you think it makes perfect sense or questionable in places, whether you feel it's a well-told story or not, at least it's a story. Yes, there are leading actors, obviously, and then some of them are quite popular, but the story really just thinks of them as characters, not as the idol trying to show off and make their fans happy. There's this clear vibe of being normal, and let's just story first, narrative first, and everything else later. Second, I highly appreciate the supporting roles, whether it's the female lead's brother, sister, or the male lead's sister-in-laws. There are many ladies because he's got like 6 brothers and they all got married before he did, kind of, apart from the eldest brother. Or the grand princess in our narrative who plays a very, very important role. Or the girl who likes our female lead's brother and her family, the brothers she's got. There are actually many, many supporting roles who all have quite important narrative purposes for the story. And whenever the camera is on these people, you don't feel they're there to fill time or to dilute the story to fill up the 40 episodes size. They all actually do have interesting character setup and purpose in the narrative, and even really interesting, engaging subplot and character relationships. And somehow almost that also becomes a problem for the story on the negative end, and I'll talk about that later. But I actually really appreciate no supporting characters are used purely as tools, as backdrop, as things to serve as a contrast in comparison to the lead, so the lead looks greater and you don't even think about the well-beings and the necessity and the reason for those supporting actors to exist in the story, like many other dramas would do. This one actually treats their supporting roles as individual humans. Third thing, because this is led by Ding Yuxi and Song Qian, so briefly talking about the leads, I think on Ding Yuxi's end, this is proving again that he's a very suitable for period idol drama actor. Although you can say it's very typecasted and very locked down, and he's played many roles that are very similar in the past. And you're kind of starting to worry about that if you're a fan of his, that he got too typecasted and there's too little space for him to do and try different things. But this is still his comfort zone, and he's doing everything you expect he would be doing based on everything you know about him. If you've watched Tiger and Rose, the Eastern sort of like love game fantasy, or the other dramas he's done in the last couple of years with different actresses, he's just so reliable in that sense of playing that typical idol drama male lead that you really don't have to worry about anything. And so that could be another reason for people to head into this drama if that's what you're looking for and you like his presence. Then let's talk about what's not great about this drama and why I feel it's like this kind of performance curve of starting with not necessarily a bam, but actually good enough, and then everything that happens is just like slowing down. I think a lot of things, once you see how they set it up, okay, she married into the family, now she's technically sister-in-law, she needs to investigate what happens with that weapon being leaked to an enemy country. So she would have this initially suspecting each other relationship with the male lead, and then eventually they'll go through a couple of episodes of trials and trust each other, and then they fall in love. You can almost see how it's all gonna go just because how they set it up. And as you watch the drama just pretty much unfold exactly as you expect. As time goes on, it becomes less and less unexpected, and it offers almost no twist, and you can see everything coming like a mile ahead. So by the time we hit late teen and early 20s, I already was very tired of it. I was just hanging on because I've already spent that many episodes time watching. That probably I would say comes down to writing is not that great. It's like not embarrassingly bad, but in terms of being skillfully a good narrative that always hooks your interest, always keeps the pacing in well-controlled manner and makes people want to stick to the story, is not very well done. Second, one of the biggest problems this drama has, very unfortunately, is the lead couple is the least interesting couple. This story has multiple couples, male lead and female lead, obviously official couple, but you can think of female lead and ex-boyfriend played by Fu Xinbo is another couple. Fu Xinbo and Ding Yuxi, so the male lead and the ex of my love interest, actually has a weird dynamic and they can be looked at as a couple too. Then our female lead's elder brother has a coupling with the Huang Riying character, who I really like. You have the Grand Princess character played by Chen Qiaowen, who has a really highly charged and interesting and probably the best relationship and coupling with another character who is initially her lover, but later turns out to be somebody else. Then you also have like our female lead's younger sister's love interest with another aristocrat guy who is the brother of Huang Ying's character, so they're all like linked together. Anyway, there are multiple romantic relationships in this story, and even non-romantic relationships, just competitor relationships. Somehow, weirdly, every other relationship is more interesting than Ding Yuxi and Song Qian's. Supposedly, that should be the main drive and the main focus, and definitely getting most screen time relationship in the whole story between two characters, yet it's the most boring part. And I definitely spend more time caring about all the supporting couples and their dynamics. For example, the Grand Princess one. I really like her character and also the weird sexual tension and power dynamic she has with that guy that actually definitely deserves its own drama and probably will be more interesting than our actual leads couple story. Also the adorableness between Cao Jun and Huang Ying's character, the female lead's brother, and that lady's story. And weirdly, although there have only been like 2 major scenes between our male lead and Fu Xinbo, that actually has more chemistry between them and tension, and almost like you can misinterpret that however you like, because the director of this drama is the director of 2 BL dramas already. He knows everything about. Not to mention Fu Xinbo has personally led a also priests BL drama, The World is Weird. When Ding Yuxi and Fu Xinbo were doing those couple of scenes, I was like, this is more highly charged than Ding Yuxi with Song Qian 10 times. Can we just like suddenly turn in the middle of the drama? Although, you know, it's not gonna happen. But in an imaginary space and parallel universe, you suddenly want to go, can we just stop the BG story and go to a BL story from this point onwards? Because it kind of looks a lot more interesting. And that's like fun to look at, but also problematic when you think about this story is ultimately led by Ding Yuxi and Song Qian. Why is that happening? Maybe it's impossible to get a fully rational answer to that. But I think the major problem comes from Song Qian. Not that she's not working hard, like you can tell she's working hard, but she's never been a very, very talented actress in anything you've seen her in. Some are less embarrassing than others, but overall you can say there's never a moment when you realize, wow, she's meant for acting. In this drama, she has one big problem, not necessarily to do with that she's not the greatest actor out there, but she doesn't understand her character. Or maybe on the script level, it's not being teased out very well, or maybe the director is not really getting a hold of it. What I mean is a classic 年下 relationship, the woman being older and then the guy being younger, running against the society's tradition and value and moral. When you set that up, the woman is age-wise older than the guy. Also, her personal life story and growing up experiences makes her much more complicated, much more thoughtful, not living in the most ideal situation all the time. Therefore, she has to think steps ahead and she would have a lot more concerns about everything. Plus, she's a woman. All that added on top, naturally, she should be a much more experienced, matured, much more complicated person than the guy. So the classic, really interesting romantic relationship between these two characters should be the young guy is very simple and he's being spoiled and loved by the family, therefore he's not that complicated. He wouldn't be thinking that much, and he's also teenager hormone, you know? So he would be the initiator trying to get her attention and get into that relationship. Whereas the woman would be obviously knowing what this entails and all the mess is going to come with it. She would be the person who definitely sees it coming, but then dodges it very skillfully at the beginning stage, and you develop to some point where she can no longer reject it. And then it will get to the point where she also caves in and decided this is a huge risk, but I want to take it. And then because she's a military woman, so once she makes that decision, she's like, I don't care. I know it's hard, but I'm gonna do it. You would have to see the stages of this character clearly. And also the really juicy and romantic thing about this type of relationship is the woman being the matured person in the whole story much more than the guy. And that creates the tension. Yet in this drama, Song Qian totally is unaware of this kind of necessity of how you should play the character or how you should play to audience's expectation. She almost acts like a little girl, this bubbly, lovely little girl. Not too little, but still too little for our ideal setting of this female lead character. And that caused the problem of that should exist age gap and kind of wisdom gap and experience as a human in a society gap between these two characters gets completely evened out. Therefore, there's no tension. There's no sexy things and juicy things between these characters. It becomes another sweet, plain, boring, bland, romantic idol period drama relationship of two good-looking people that get really skin smoothed a lot in this drama. They're like whiter than white people and then smoother than plastic all the time. That's the biggest problem I see in the story, whereas she's missing the point of what's attractive of this kind of relationship, what audiences want to look at and how you should play it to make it sexy and interesting. She's doing the opposite. And with the fact that she's not really that good an actress, whether it's on her or on the director, I have no idea, or the script is written not like well. The combined result is the main couple does not work in the story, or barely is working, or is nothing special, or is actually less interesting than the supporting couples. When you have this problem, this kind of idol period drama is not gonna succeed, regardless of whether the leads have big enough fandom to do data for them. And everything else that could be rented, for example, slightly here and there, the logic doesn't quite work out. And often you feel certain plot is just put there so that they can create a conflict at that point of the narrative, but honestly the reason for it to start, develop, and end is not necessarily making logical sense. It happens in this drama, so it's by no means the perfectly making sense and super clever story either, even if you take out the romantic part of the whole thing, just looking at it as investigative drama, for example. Let's find a spy drama, political struggle, power struggle, kingdoms fights, right? If you just look at these things, don't think about it logically, because a lot of things, once you stop and think, it actually does not make sense. At the end of this video, what I want to say is 山河者 Fight for Love, on its script level, on its leading actors understanding their character level, on its overall production standard level, are not perfect. I wouldn't necessarily voluntarily recommend this drama to anybody, even if you like Song Qian or Ding Yuxi, any of those leading actors. I would say if you're so bored you have nothing to do and you really want to give it a try, go and check it out. You should expect a decline kind of reaction to it as time goes on. The overall standard of Chinese period drama this year is not counting Strange Tales of Time because it's only just started airing. Everything has finished up to this point that I've watched. Still, I would say Only a Dream Within a Dream is actually a worth watching drama because it's so different and it's so entertaining. Like just that word, because it's an entertainment piece at the end of the day. And it's actually entertaining. Whereas a lot of things are, I feel like I am going in to do homework. It want me to entertain it kind of drama, which is... Anyway, that should be the end of this video. My opinion on the drama 山河者 Fight for Love. Hope that's useful for you to decide whether you want to invest your time into this drama. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.